that most people don't really think about. So, after World War One and World War Two, a lot of men did not come home, which means that there were women that were still required to work. Um, and because America is built on a two-parent household dynamic, when any household does not have dynamics, a human being only has so much capability for so much energy. And if a person is trying to juggle doing all of the financial responsibilities of a household, and then they're also having to do the upkeep stuff of the household, cooking, cleaning, maintenance, on not just the home, but on the vehicle, on all of these things. If they're a parent, just keeping their child alive is maxing out all of their energy that they possibly have. And so what happens is you are so busy cooking, cleaning, working, trying to take care of everything, and stressing about how you're going to take care of all of these things that even if you love your child, you're not able to properly meet them at their needs. Okay. So directly after World War One, this is happening on a more mass scale. And now for the households that actually did have the father come home, you still have people that came home massively injured, right? So now they're having to rehabilitate and all of these things, which has their focus in a whole nother area. They're having to process and deal with adjusting back to societal life after dealing with war life. Also, the mental PTSD things of war. So you have a jarring dynamic that comes from that. So if you've ever gone through like a mass injury or been through PTSD or any kind of thing like this, you know that going through the mental process can have multiple different, like, anger, denial, like different stages that you have to go through while you're healing, while you're processing, and you're taking out those emotions on the people that are around you. So, this dynamic again, like first dynamic where people, the fathers didn't come home, you have one parent trying to juggle everything. Then, in this same dynamic where you have somebody come home and they're massively injured, they don't have a leg or something like this, and they have to rehabilitate or all of this, and they have to process the PTSD and all of this, they're not able to support the household in the same way they had before. They have to readjust and find new jobs that they hadn't been in before or have new skills. If you were something that your whole skill life was based on what you did with your hands and you lost your hands in war, you have to now find a whole new skill set to be able to support your family on. So sure, you have the man of the household back, but there's still a dynamic where the other people in the household are required to do other things. So again, this same dynamic, what's the first thing that you lose in survival mode? You lose emotional stability, right? If you have to survive, you have to eat, you have to keep the roof over people's heads, you have to keep doing all of these things. The one thing that you can let go of when you don't have the ability to juggle everything is the emotional thing. It's shut up, deal. We have to survive. So you process through that. So now you have um, all of these different dynamics. And if it's not laid on one party, then you have young children that were stepping up and taking on adult responsibilities directly in the first wave of the First World War and the Second World War. This is happening to America, to a majority of humans. Yes, there were people that came back from the war, didn't have PTSD, and their families were able to realign back into normal society rather quickly. That does happen, but it was not the majority directly after World War One and World War Two that the home dynamic was immediately brought back to life. Now, those people that didn't have those dynamics brought back to life, had children that were raised in whatever dynamics of survival that they had to endure. And now, whatever skills and emotional abilities that were lost during that time period is not going to, like, the next generation didn't just magically figure it out, right? Especially because it's not the majority that has those abilities again. Most of the people you're looking at and talking to have the same lacking as you. Now you go down another generation, right? And now you're starting on the people that did formulate and have that uh, morals, structure, that two household dynamic that covered the house and the responsibilities, and people were cook, cleaning, and different roles, and everybody had that dynamic that was spreading in society. But so was the more chaotic dynamics from lack of uh, parents that husbands that didn't come home, so you have the one household dynamics. You have children that are having to step up and perform adult roles, and so when they all have children, they're not teaching them the emotional things. And so now you roll this all the way down to the generations that we're living in now. And so you'll see a lot of people talking about breaking generational curses. Well, this makes sense because up until now, you didn't have a large enough majority that were stable enough to uh, look to for the other people to idolize or mirror or whatever. And then you have all these different ideologies about things. Now, most people, if you actually sit down and have a rational conversation with them and you don't go into the situation believing that you're already opposing, you'll actually find that most people align on their thinking. That there are scales to different things, but most people, it's slight scale changes. Most people all will sit there and agree that we're supposed to be good moral people, whether you believe it through Jesus or you believe it through Buddha or you believe it through this or you believe it through that. We're all going to agree we should probably act like decent human beings and not treat each other like shit, right? And when you sit down and talk to each of these people that you think that you disagree so much with, you find that it's not so much of a disagreeal. Even the people that are on the extreme opposite side of you are usually just the opposite side of the same coin as you. Like they hold the same values of you, and they just hold it on the opposite spectrum of you. So then there's still that alignment there. Um, Now, with all of that, so that kind of explains some of the dynamics that are happening in society, right? Now, let's think about the logics of, like, when you're growing up. When you're a little baby, you don't have much choice in the world. Would you agree, right? And as you grow up, you do gain more choice, but your fundamental thinking has been structured by the people that you are surrounded with and that you care about, respect, value, whether that be somebody who is a celebrity or something that you idolize them in that way. And so then you start trying to mirror things you like about them. Your image is and mindset is all still being formed really by others around you, right? It's not until you start truly experiencing the world and getting to um like observe the lessons back and forth and really truly think things for yourself that you get to form your own opinions on things. So when you're growing up, if you were raised in, say, a Christian household, it's very likely that you are going to align yourself in early adolescence as a Christian, right? Unless you're in your rebellion stage. It's not until you start hitting like those 20s and 30s and you start meeting other people and talking to other cultures and other things that you truly align with the religion that aligns with you. And now that may still be Christianity, but then it's not what was taught to you. It's what you're actually actively choosing once you have all of these other options that you're looking through. Our opinions change so much throughout our lifetime. Your opinion may not be the same as it was 2 months ago. And we don't really think about this a lot. A lot of our emotions are based off of opinions, right? You have the right and the left that are seeing each other as opposites. And the interesting thing here is, like, you have a president who himself has been on both sides. He's been on the right side and he's been on the left with his own personal voting. You're fighting against people that have opinions and strong opinions on things, but some of these people that you're fighting against don't even vote, right? It's we fear so much about people's opinions without really analyzing how much that they're just thoughts that other people are having. A lot of the times when people share something that we don't agree with, we fear that them sharing that will build another crowd that makes them think that way, and a law or something will be enacted that is going to affect our world. And so this builds all of this huge intensity. And when you look in reality of it, that's goes back and forth all the time, where our country is for a term or two partied to the Republican Party, and then for a term or two, it's to the Democratic Party. So a lot of these fears that you're having may actually come to fruition, but 4 years later, they're directly overturned. And so we're putting a lot of fear into stuff that, yes, in small bursts of reality, we're seeing them start to take form. But in the larger scale of things, it doesn't end up that mass fear that we believed it to be and that we act upon. Another interesting thing for me with opinions, especially with like the recent thing, is how our opinions on things are so charged in the right direction. If you listen to like what people are saying, they don't want what's happening in America. They don't want the violence. They don't want all of this. But in a message that's coming out aggressively, and that's part of the human emotions that people don't want to acknowledge. Is if a person is shouting their emotions, they're not shooting their emotions, right? We have to find a balance with accepting that people are going to have opinions that differ from us, and that opinion may end up aligning with us 3 weeks from now. So we probably shouldn't put so much emotion into these opinions, believing that they have this huge worldly impact. I'm going to use Trump for a minute because this has been a very divisive thing in our country. How many people from the first election you acted and said things and did things with this fear that the first time he was going to just become a dictator and we were never going to have another president after that, and then look, we had one, and now here we are again in the second term. Those same fears causing us to do the same things that you had a period of time which you calmed down and were like, oh, maybe that was a little irrational, but then recharged and did it again. And this goes for both sides. I'm not picking on either side. I don't personally align with either side of these things, because I will always say both sides have really good points if they would just talk to each other and stop trying to win things. What are you winning? We're in the same country. Like, I know you've heard the expression before, stop poking holes in the boat that you're in. Hello? That party is still in your system, your country. It doesn't matter if they're red or if they're blue. They're still your people. And Your people go beyond your country. It actually, your people are all of the human beings, right? Because we're humans, right? Your country doesn't stop there. That's one classification that we fall under. If you have ever looked at like the species of animals and stuff, there's a fuck ton of different classification that animals fit in, and that animals that you don't think have the same class do fit into the same class. And I've gone off completely off tangent from all of my points here because I'm trying to pay attention to the stupid thing, because before, when I was just ranting like a fucking crazy and wasn't articulating decent thoughts, people were commenting, and now I'm waiting for that and having a hard time keeping my own fucking thoughts straight to do what I'm trying to do here. It's annoying. Being human is stressful, okay? We all go through these different stressors and thoughts. It's okay to be human. It's okay to feel crazy. It's okay to be crazy in front of other human beings. While, yes, they're absolutely going to judge you. And here's the funny thing about it: you're going to judge them at some point, because at some point they're going to be human in front of you. As much as they try to hide it and they try to not do it, they still do it in other ways. So if you're not the person that sits there and um, says these kind of things openly, you're probably the type of person that talks shit really loud in a line to get a joke from people and try to get attention that way. Like, there's different ways you're doing the same thing. You're just doing it in your own way. The same way we all have different opinions. We're all a reflection of each other. We have a ridiculous amount of mirror neurons. Um, we also live in a state right now where people have been trying to communicate to others that won't listen in so many various ways, that we are living in a point in time where, oh, okay, well, if you won't listen to me, I'm going to show you what your actions do to people. Um, and a lot of people are kind of missing that that's what's happening, and believing that everybody's evil because of what they're seeing. And a lot of people don't understand satire as well. A lot of people don't understand that when the internet was first brought on, there were people that felt themselves smarter than others. So they intentionally put out misinformation in a misleading way, intentionally, to get people to believe things that they knew were not right so that they could feel smarter than them. And there's been a ripple effect of all of these type of weird actions that we've done, and have now a world that we're dealing in the consequences of those kind of behaviors. And people are like, the world's just fucked and the world's just crazy. The world is a reflection of our actions on a simple day-to-day basis. You've told everybody to stay in their rooms, hide, lock your doors, don't trust people, don't help people, don't do all of these things for quite a little while now. And now that it's happening and people are listening and people are actually hiding in their rooms and people are not helping, and you hate the world around you because you live in a system, and you actually do need the people around you because you're not doing everything all on your own. So when you tell everybody to go run and hide because you don't like their opinion and you want these certain people to hide, you have a domino effect of others also running and hiding that were convenient to you, because people can hear your words and take them in a way that you didn't want them to take it. And that actually happens a lot. Um, yeah, I'm gonna stop because this is about 20 minutes and my phone has a really hard time processing uploads. So long videos are not good for my phone. So, bye.